This is my niece Stella. She's a great kid, and she wanted to give her grandparents a picture for the holidays. Unfortunately, it was really, really cold the day that we had the opportunity to go out to the park, and we weren't able to convince her to wear a jacket. So she's shivering a little bit, and her hair is a little out of control. And since we didn't have time to do a reshoot, I thought we'd edit this photo so that we can give a nice copy to her parents and grandparents. Now, we're going to be doing a lot of hair retouching here, and I say that the hair retouching is not so magic. The other things were kind of magic because there's a variety of techniques to clean up hair on a kid. And they're very similar to all the techniques that are used on an adult. But let's go through those tools and let's get this cleaned up. All right, we're going to zoom in. Just like before, I'm going to use the spot healing brush, and I'm going to actually keep it on darken mode. Now, normally we'd have it on normal or replace, but I've been finding with things like this, if we put it on normal or replace, what'll happen sometimes is we will get another, it didn't do it that time, which is great. I will show you though if we can find it. When we remove the hair, it sometimes will put another hair back, just like right there. And that's not what we're looking for, especially when we're looking at all of these hairs in here. And if it keeps repeating doing those hairs, and it's doing great now. So it only happens sometimes, but when it does do it, just like then, it can be really annoying. So let's switch that mode to darken mode. And so that way it's only going and editing the pixels that need to be darkened. And then we don't have the regrowth of the same hairs. So let's do that. There we go. Now this works really, really great to use this little brush when we're going over the smaller areas and just the fine hairs like this. We're getting it. We're getting them done. All right, let's switch it over to replace. And we're getting it done. Look at that. Look how good that's coming out. Okay, so now that there's not so many hairs right next to each other, it's able to grab and to see that we do not want any new hairs coming. So it's working a lot better than it was when we had first started and there were more stray hairs around the image. Okay, there we go. All right, so that worked really great for those big giant ones or these strands right near each other. It's pretty simple and easy to do. You can see some smudging here, and what's really nice about having a solid background like this is that we can use another tool in a minute to blend and blur those in together. Now, for the hair on the top of the head here that has lots of them, it's not always easy to use using this tool. So using the spot healing brush. But what we are going to use instead of the spot healing brush is the patch tool. All right, let's come down here like this. And I'm going to duplicate my copy just in case the patch tool doesn't work as we want. And then we don't have to repeat the step. We can always go back and delete this layer later. All right, so let's grab it. Let's come from around here like this. I'm grabbing that whole crown of hair on the top. We're going to come up from there like that and grab. It's pretty good. Now see, it did create some fuzziness along the line here. So we can come a little bit closer and pull up. And it kind of cleans it up a little. Let's come in closer. Now it's still not a very clean line, but remember the back of her head here is softer and it is a little out of focus, so that's not a big deal. So I'm going to just do a little bit more of this, grabbing and pulling, but I can still see that line. This is where I'm going to switch over to using the clone stamp. Now the clone stamp I have set to a lower opacity and I have it set to a kind of a medium hardness, but let's lower the size of that too. And I'm going to click Alt to select my source, and I'm going to be kind of blurring this along. Now the opacity is only set to 30% because I want to be able to go over with multiple strokes. Now doing this also blurs the background. On an image like this, going over it multiple times from select sources is fine. It will not work if you have a background that's a lot more complicated than this. This is a really easy background to be removing hairs on. As I said, remember all this patchy stuff here that looked a little bit messy? So let's switch our brush to a larger size. Pick a source right near where we were before, because if you do it like that, you can just it's like selectively blurring the photo. It's really a convenient way to blend in those changes we've made. All right, so the hair on the top of her head looks good enough to print small. I mean, this isn't what I'd use if I was going to be printing in a giant magazine. I'd be doing a ton of different things. But since this is just going to be a little picture, like a 4x6 for Grandma and Grandpa, this is a fine way to edit this. You can spend hours and hours. I mean, we could make her look like she's just a fashion model for a hair company, but we're not going to do that because It takes a heck of a lot of time. All right, so the problem that we are having, however, is this hair right here over her eye. In the next movie, I'm going to go over exactly the techniques and tricks we can use to remove that hair over her eye.